All right, everybody. Hello. Welcome to But First Football. I am here, Kim Beal, Broad of the Bay, with my buddy Vaughn Parker, who has just been, I think, off of 2 weeks of partying with the fellas. Does that sound accurate?
That's pretty accurate.
a little preseason party up in
Yeah,
Canada
yes,
and also down in your neck of the woods.
yeah, exactly. Good time, but I'm ready to get some rest and get back to things as usual, business as usual. So,
Well, we're happy to have you back. Um, so we are coming at you all with really technically the second game of preseason because the Hall of Fame game did happen last week. But it is the first night where we have actually more than one game. We have 3 games tonight. So that's pretty exciting. We've got Baltimore at Indianapolis. We have Cincinnati, and I forget who else. And then the Raiders play Seattle. That's at 10 o'clock my time. So I don't think I'll make that. But first night of multiple games. So that's exciting. Also, something major happened yesterday that is really pretty significant in the world of football, NFL, football broadcasting, sports broadcasting. Would you like to share your thoughts on the ESPN and NFL network merger and purchase of? I mean, what is going on? This is big.
yeah, it's a pretty big deal. It's got a lot of implications across a lot of different industries. And so ESPN is getting the NFL Network, Red Zone, and the NFL's fantasy football platform.
Huge.
Huge. And in exchange for that, the NFL is getting a 10% stake in ESPN, right? So,
Just so they need some more money.
right. And so those guys, it's estimated ESPN, I don't know, anywhere from 25 to 30 billion. So, it's upwards of a $3 billion deal, of course. But when you essentially merge, you're looking for synergy, right? Synergy isn't 1 + 1 = 2, it's 1 + 1 = 3. So, who knows where that 3 billion could end up in the future, which is the whole point for both of the sides, right?
Right.
And it's crazy because in the ever changing landscape of how people view content, everyone's, I think, on a certain level is, I don't know if scrambling is the exact right word, but I'll use it, is scrambling to figure out how are people consuming what we're putting out, what brings the people to the seats. And of course, live sports is probably from here on out will always be king because people show up. They don't tend to stream it later. I mean, certainly a certain
Yeah.
amount of the population does, but you can count on people watching when you put it on. And ESPN is kind of a legacy company in a lot of ways in terms of the cable TV, but so many people are continuing to cut the cord. And so this, I'm sure, is part of their strategy just to because in 2 weeks, I believe their new direct to consumer streaming platform launches. They already have ESPN Plus, but the direct to, I think that's what they're calling it, ESPN direct to consumer, or DTC, direct to consumer. And so that obviously will have some number, I'm not exactly sure, I didn't see, but some number of live NFL games will be part of that package, and they're planning to bundle it. There's already an ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, Hulu
Right.
bundle, and so the direct to consumer. Of course, you're gonna have to pay a little bit more. I'm sure there'll be some premium price tag, but that will also be bundled as well. And
But the
so,
thing is, so Vaughn, but like, I get so confused with all the
mhm,
streaming
yeah,
because I have YouTube TV, which I really like because you can really watch TV on YouTube TV like normal TV, honestly. Like you can find the games easily. But then I have the Disney an ESPN Plus bundle and Hulu. I have that. I have Peacock because, of course, they did one game last year that was only on Peacock. And then, of course, I have Netflix because now they do the Christmas Day. And then, of course, I have Prime because, so it is getting a little out of hand. And is this going to simplify it or is it going to make it worse?
Good question. I don't know that it's necessarily going to simplify it because for ESPN, it wasn't necessarily about making it easier for us. It was just ensuring that they're going to remain the worldwide leader, whether it's linear TV, meaning cable, or digital. Like they've got to get better in the digital space. And what this says for the NFL is not that they were out of their depth, because I'm sure they've got the ability to hire good people, but still, hey, that's not our core competency, right? You outsource the things that you're not great at, and so, hey, let's let the number one worldwide leader in sports do what they do, and they can take over these assets. We'll just get a piece of them, essentially,
Yeah.
right? So.
Well, I'm gonna freak out if I have to get another streaming service because I think that I'm double paying for some stuff. Like I think it's in a lot of different places. But me, I never want to miss a game, so I'm like, oh my god, it's only gonna be on Peacock, so I got to get Peacock, or frustrating.
Because the mid teens, it was easy because you cut the cord, you got rid of your cable, because between your box and your DVR player, you're paying $250 a month, depending on what you got, and lowered your bill, and it was pretty simple because most things were on Netflix, right? It was about Netflix, and that was all there is. Now everyone saw, oh well, this is the future, so everyone jumped into the game, and now it's so confusing. And again, like live sports, so ESPN, because like ESPN Plus, like I've got the bundle as well, right? And sometimes it's difficult to at least definitely get the games you want, but any particular game that you might want to, like ESPN Plus is not it, right? And so now this ESPN DTC will have, I think they have NBA as well. Now they've secured the NFL. And so this is about future-proofing their business model, basically. And of course,
let me ask you this. Here's what I've heard. Like, I know a lot of people that are all up in arms about the Red Zone network, that now that it's going to be on ESPN, there's going to be commercials and stuff. So like you'll be watching like some exciting Red Zone moment and they'll cut to commercial. Do you think that's true?
Of course, I wouldn't be surprised, right? They're gonna try to monetize their acquisition, but I wouldn't necessarily. The NFL will not have a problem. That's the thing that ESPN hopefully is ready for. The NFL, like we talked about in terms of changing rules and not worrying what people think about it, because we know this is going to be better for our bottom line. And if the NFL decides, hey, look, I think it's better to leave it as it is. Now this year, nothing's going to change. Like nothing's going to change. Right. None of the hosts, none of the the NFL is still going to run NFL Network this year and Red Zone. These are all things that are going to happen moving forward. But the obviously the regulatory scrutiny is still yet to come, and from what I read, that can take up to a year. I would be a little wary of Trump being a little bit vindictive, because he still is a bit salty about not being able to buy into the team when he put in his bid to buy the Buffalo Bills however many years ago. And we all know he's a bit vindictive, so I wouldn't be surprised if, look, it probably will ultimately happen, but I wouldn't put it past the DOJ making it harder than it might otherwise be.
Well, they're taking regulations away from everything. They're going to just put it more on this. Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oy vey. I know. I really want to get rid of Paramount and CBS. I just am not loving them anymore. But CBS has games.
Yes, exactly. And here's the other thing, too. How's ESPN going to cover the NFL now? The
Right.
NFL
Bias.
does the
Bias.
NFL does not suffer their partners not being good partners, good corporate partners. And
Right.
so, of course, it's inevitable that some issue will come up where ESPN is going to have to cover the NFL and with a harsh eye.
Yes.
And that those 32 owners are not going to look kindly upon that. And some of the pushback has been about, well, the ESPN just covered the NFLPA scandal so thoroughly. However, my pushback on that is the NFLPA is not the NFL.
Right. Correct.
They're associated at the hip on a certain level, but it is not the NFL. Don't never mistake that.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure they'll look. It's always, of course, they're going to try to cover it in a nonpartisan way, but they're partners. They're in bed together. It's impossible.
It
Stories
doesn't feel very good.
Yeah. And then one of the things I didn't think about that I read about that made sense though is like, what kind of negotiating power will this give the NFL for future negotiations with the other broadcast networks, the other streaming services? So there's a lot of implications. It's definitely monopolistic. I don't know if it's a monopoly, but it's monopolistic.
It feels that way.
But I think that's definitely the biggest thing to come out of this week in the NFL. It's a big deal on a lot of levels. I'm sure there'll be some talent shakeups in terms.
Well, there already has been. The NFL Network was dropping people, and Rich Eisen is moving over to ESPN. That was like a couple weeks ago where that was announced, and now it makes sense. So. Yeah, well, I think the other big NFL news this week involves your favorite team and your favorite owner. The Micah Parsons drama in Dallas is interesting because I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like Micah Parsons might just say, I'm out.
He might, however, I think the money can soothe all the animosity between the two sides. And I don't know that it's true animosity. Remember a couple months ago, Myles Garrett said he wanted out of Cleveland as well, and he got his deal done, and now he's happy to be in Cleveland.
But I think there's a difference between those to me, though. Jerry Jones is an asshole. He sounds like an asshole. He acts like an asshole. He's being an asshole the Browns are just kind of hapless. I think that there's a difference between hapless and But here's what I want to see happen. You know what I want to see happen? Come on.
Of course. How silly of me.
Hassan Reddick and Micah Parsons. Hello, Vita Vea. Like, oh my God.
Look, there seems to clearly be change. A lot of Dallas's deals seem to get done later rather than sooner. And sooner is, of course, when, the team can kind of ask for a hometown discount. Hey, we're taking care of you a bit sooner. So, the tried and true model for that is that when we take care of you sooner, we get a bit of a discount. Well, they waited for Myles Garrett's deal to get done.
Yeah.
Some of the other guys who've gotten deals at that position are escaping me.
TJ Watt's deal.
Right, TJ Watt. And so the price goes up. He's not going to take less than what those guys, he's next in line, so he's not going to take less than what those guys got. And, we all kind of know Micah over his, 3 or 4 years has been pretty vocal. He's got the podcast that I'm not sure everyone in Dallas is sure that he has, and he's been vocal about certain. He just decided to take it to the public where, Jerry makes his statements. And so I guess he felt he had to fight fire with fire. Yeah. So Micah made his. But again, there's always a whirlwind of activity and controversy and non-football distractions when it comes to Dallas. And that's why they're, by far the most highly valued because they get the most. They matter. People tune in when things happen there. And
Drives me nuts.
I'm not sure how it's going to help them win, but they'll be the most talked about team throughout the year.
That's what just really puzzles me, because you hear Jerry Jones and he talks about, we need to win now. Well, you're not doing anything to help yourself. Like, it doesn't make sense. And, Dan Patrick, he's like refusing to talk about them anymore, because he's like, this is what Jerry Jones wants, is he wants all this, he's of the mindset that any publicity is good publicity. And, definitely we're feeding into it, and it's kind of exhausting. But I will also tell you that now that Elizabeth is home, we have been able to start watching America's Sweetheart season 2, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader Netflix special, which is so good. We got really into it last year. And Elizabeth is home for her clinical, so I get her for 2 months. She's doing her clinical nearby, which is awesome. So we started watching it. Well, so in this season, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders are basically standing up for themselves to make money. Because, these girls are like, it's the audition thing. It's drama. It's drama all the time. They make the team. They still have to work these other jobs. Some of these girls are working 3 and 4 jobs because they're making like minimum wage as a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. It's nuts. So we're like midway through, and this group of like 6 of them they're fighting back. They're fighting back. And then I know this was actually filmed last season, but a couple weeks ago in the paper, they got their raise. So pretty cool.
It was like 4 times what they were making.
Yeah. So good for them. Good for those America's sweethearts.
Madison loves that show as well. Yeah, she always giving me show recommendations. That was one. I was like, well, look, I'm not going to watch, but I'll listen to you tell me what it's about. And so she took me through some of it. And as we were discussing it, maybe a week later is when it was about them getting like a 4 times raise per game.
Yeah. Good. It's good. It is a good show. It's not, I'm really not usually into shows like that, but maybe it's the peripheral football, whatever, that makes me watch it. They don't have any boy cheerleaders. We do.
Does Tampa really?
Yeah. We have 3.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You remember Dallas?
The show?
Dallas?
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
I remember as a kid, I'd never watched the show. I was aware of who was on it because I would watch every week. I would watch the opening sequence.
Yep.
Just for the flyover of Texas Stadium. And then you'd see, and then there was a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader shot as well, right?
Yep.
I got what I needed.
Yeah, I know. That was a good show. I had a bumper sticker that said, I shot JR or something like that. I don't know why, but I just remember I had it. Well, I think, okay, so basically you're saying that none of the changes are going to happen this year. So I guess that's good, except for still trying to figure out where you're going to watch. They're going to throw some game out there that's going to be on some obscure streaming something, and you're going to have to buy it or something, which is annoying. But the rest of it we'll worry about next season.
Yeah. And look, though, so obviously the Monday Night Football package will be part of that. And then you'll also get a number of other, they'll have a playoff game. What else?
Maybe the Monday night games will get better, because they've really kind of gotten the pretty crappy. Sunday Night Football has gotten the best.
Sunday night has been the star.
Yeah.
For a while.
The best game.
So I think ultimately, there's going to be several more years of, your things are going to get simplified. This is just not this deal in particular, just the whole landscape of how you watch, where you find things. I think it's still going to, because everyone thought, look, BET has a streaming service. A&E has its own streaming service. There's some cable, and look, I, on a certain level, probably prefer it to, I want ESPN, so I have to buy these other 10 cable stations that I never watch and don't want. but in order to get the ESPN, that's what I have to do. I have to pay for those. So I kind of like it better than that. But at the same time, look, there's going to be losers and winners in everything. Some of these channels that thought they would have a viable streaming service, just I disagree. I disagree vehemently.
Well, can you imagine? Like, let's say you were the owner of a sports bar. I mean, how are you ever gonna have what you need? You're gonna end up having to like redo your entire, television whatever
Package, yeah, sure.
to make sure that you have every game. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel good. I don't like it.
Well, one of the things they talked about too is, kind of exporting the red zone concept to the college level. And I think there is something similar, not right now, but specifically the NFL red zone. Again, because they're looking to not just say, "Hey, we're acquiring these," but how can we build off it and again make 1+1 = 3. Where we're looking for the home run, not just the hey, we're going to take, obviously, like I said, I they're not saying it, but I think it's implied in that they're giving these things up. That the NFL is saying that's not our core competency. That's not what we're about. We're about running these organizations. Let the media people run these media platforms, right? So,
do you like NFL Red Zone? Do you watch Red
I'm
Zone?
sorry?
Do you watch NFL
Not
Red Zone?
religiously, but I do watch.
I don't really watch it. I just kind of I like a live game. I like to watch the game. You know what I
The
mean?
flow of the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, so it'll be again, that's locked up for the next. I think it goes to 2035. I think.
Jeez.
Yeah, I think it's the next 10 years, and so that's always good, just in terms of
Continuity.
yeah, exactly, and so I want to see these next deals, with the Amazon deal I think is only a couple years old, so they're probably locked in for the next several, at least 5 years, I would imagine. I want to see how this deal affects those negotiations when those deals start coming up again. And that's the thing, right? The NFL's models always has been keep someone out because by the time that 10 years is up, they're going to be dying to get back in. Hey, and especially now where live sports it's the one thing people still continue to show up for. Is probably even more important than ever. And so and now it's, a handful because you're keeping some of the streamers out. You keep, I don't know if linear TV is ever going to go away completely. There's always going to be some form of cable, but ESPN had to digital proof itself, right? And just move more on the digital side. And so, very interesting deal. And this is just the surface. Like, this is just scratching the surface. Like, I think there's going to be more ramifications and more fallout, as we move ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's breaking news for your Chargers. Left tackle Rashawn Slater suffered a torn patellar tendon during Thursday's practice and will undergo season-ending surgery. That's sad.
Well, the good news is they have the kid they just got from Notre Dame last year who...
the huge one, Joe Alt?
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say he played left tackle in college. And not to dismiss that at all. Rashawn Slater is one of
at least they have someone, yeah.
Yeah, best young tackles in the game, but they should be okay. Oh, sad for him.
I know, right? Well, okay. Well, that was a good little tutorial on what is happening with ESPN NFL Network and our money, and the NFL taking more of our money, padding their pockets. I don't know, and yet we still So, so next week we'll have a lot of preseason stuff to talk about. We got a full slate of games starting tonight all the way through the weekend. I'm excited. The Bucks play at 7:30 on Saturday. The Titans are in town for a live scrimmage. So definitely some stuff to discuss next week. So you better get some rest after your 2 weeks of partay.
Yes.
And so we'll be back with some more conversation next week.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everybody. It's But First Football, and let's go preseason. Woo!
Bye.
Bye.